If you love stories that whisper from the dark, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Midnight Echoes, and turn on the bell so you won't miss the next mystery that's still unfinished. Now, let's return to where the story left off. History has a way of repeating itself, sometimes in whispers, and sometimes in echoes that shake the ocean floor. Nearly 23 years after the USS Cyclops vanished, two of her sister ships followed the same route, and they too disappeared without a trace. Scene 1. The birth of the sisters. The USS Cyclops was part of a trio of identical colliers, massive steel vessels built for the US Navy in the early 1900s. Her sisters were named USS Proteus and USS Nereus. Like Cyclops, they were giants of their time, over 540 feet long, built to carry tons of heavy ore and fuel. They shared the same design, the same blueprints, and, some would say, the same fate. Scene 2. The war returns. By 1941, the world was at war again. The Atlantic had become a battlefield of convoys and submarines. The Proteus and Nereus, once coal carriers, had been converted into merchant cargo ships, transporting essential materials for the Allied war effort. Their mission: carry bauxite ore, the raw material for aluminum, from the Caribbean to North America. It was the same type of cargo, the same region, and eerily, the same time of year. Scene 3. USS Proteus, December 1941. On December 23, 1941, USS Proteus departed St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands, loaded with bauxite and bound for the US East Coast. The weather was fair, the crew was confident. 2 days later, all radio contact ceased. At first, the Navy assumed it was enemy action, a German U-boat perhaps. But no German records ever confirmed an attack. The Proteus was gone, 58 men erased. Scene 4. USS Nereus, the twin disaster. Then, as if mocking coincidence, another ship vanished just weeks later. On December 10, 1941, USS Nereus, the last of the Cyclops-class ships, left the same port, carrying the same cargo, along the same route. She too disappeared, without a single distress call. In the Navy archives, the two losses are logged side by side. USS Proteus, lost, presumed sunk December 1941. USS Nereus, lost, presumed sunk December 1941. Both gone within weeks of each other, both in the same stretch of ocean once sailed by their sister, Cyclops. Scene 5. The Triangle tightens. By now, sailors had a name for that region, the Bermuda Triangle, a triangle of mystery between Florida, Puerto Rico, and Bermuda, where navigation instruments spun wildly and ships vanished into the blue. But even skeptics had to admit, the odds were uncanny. 3 ships of the same class, built from the same plans, all gone without trace in the same region of the Atlantic. It was as if the sea had chosen them. Scene 6. Theories resurface. The disappearance of Proteus and Nereus reignited the legend of Cyclops. Could there be a flaw in the ship design, something hidden, waiting for time and pressure to strike? Naval engineers studied the blueprints and found one possible weakness. The Cyclops-class hull was not designed for such dense cargo. The manganese and bauxite ores they carried were heavier than coal, their usual load. A sudden shift of weight in rough seas could have split the ships in two. But there were no storms reported, just calm seas and silence. Scene 7. The unnatural pattern. Statistically, the odds of 3 identical ships vanishing under identical conditions are astronomical. Scientists later ran probability models and estimated that such a coincidence could only happen once in 10 million voyages. To those who believed in the supernatural, this was proof of a curse. To skeptics, it was simply bad luck, compounded by poor wartime records and natural dangers. Yet each explanation only deepened the mystery. Scene 8. Witnesses of the Triangle. In 1942, a Canadian merchant ship reported seeing a ghost freighter drifting in fog near the Bahamas. No flags, no radio, no crew visible. The description matched the Cyclops class. Massive hull, single central smokestack, rusted gray steel. The sighting lasted 10 minutes. When the fog lifted, the ship was gone. The report was filed but classified by naval intelligence. It would not be declassified until the 1970s. Scene 9. The Bermuda Curse. By the end of World War II, the Bermuda Triangle had claimed dozens of ships and aircraft, but none were as legendary as the 3 sisters, Cyclops, Proteus, and Nereus. Some said they were victims of magnetic vortices, regions of the ocean where gravity and time behave differently. Others believe the ship stumbled upon an ancient phenomenon, a submerged energy source, a remnant of Atlantis, or even alien technology buried beneath the seafloor. Whatever the truth, the ocean never gave them back. Scene 10. The Legacy of Three Sisters. To this day, no wreckage of any of the three ships has been found. Modern sonar sweeps of the Atlantic floor, by both the U.S. Navy and private researchers, have failed to locate even a fragment. The ocean floor in that region is a maze of ridges, trenches, and deep fissures, some over 5 miles deep. If the Cyclops, Proteus, and Nereus rest there, they rest in the deepest graveyard on Earth. 3 ships, 3 names, 1 mystery. In the next chapter, we dive deeper, beyond myths and folklore, into the science of the Bermuda Triangle itself. What makes this region different? Are there natural forces that could explain the disappearances? Or is there something about this ocean that defies human understanding? The sea is wide, but not all waters are the same. There are places where the compass spins, the sky burns green, and the air itself seems to hum. The sailors who survived the Bermuda Triangle call it many things: the dead zone, the hungry sea, the devil's gate. But to scientists, it is a region of fascination and frustration. Scene 1. The Triangle Defined. The Bermuda Triangle covers roughly 500,000 square miles of the Atlantic Ocean. Its 3 corners form a rough triangle between Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, an area rich with maritime routes, flight paths, and deep ocean trenches. It's one of the most heavily traveled regions in the world, yet it's also one of the most infamous. Over the past century, hundreds of ships and aircraft have vanished here, including the mighty USS Cyclops. What makes this patch of ocean so deadly? Scene 2. Magnetic anomalies. Scientists studying the region have discovered something peculiar. The Earth's magnetic field behaves differently inside the triangle. Normally, compasses point toward the magnetic North Pole, slightly offset from the true north. But within parts of the triangle, compasses can align with true north instead, a rare phenomenon known as magnetic deviation. In the days of Cyclops, navigation depended on magnetic compasses. A few degrees of deviation could send a massive ship miles off course, and in the open Atlantic, even a small mistake can be fatal. Some experts believe the Cyclops may have drifted far from her intended route, into deeper waters, or perhaps a trench from which no signal could escape. Scene 3. The methane hypothesis. Another theory comes not from the sky but from the seafloor. Geologists have discovered vast fields of methane hydrate, frozen gas trapped beneath the ocean floor. When disturbed, these hydrates can erupt violently, releasing massive bubbles that rise through the water column. If a ship were caught above such an eruption, the gas could reduce the density of the water, causing even a giant vessel to lose buoyancy and sink instantly, leaving no trace. It's a terrifyingly simple explanation, but it fails to answer one question. Why has this happened only in the triangle, and so consistently along the same routes? Scene 4. Weather from nowhere. Satellite data has revealed that sudden, violent storms can form within the triangle in a matter of minutes. Meteorologists call them microbursts, powerful downdrafts of air that can slam into the sea like invisible hammers. Winds reaching over 170 miles per hour have been recorded, enough to capsize even modern ships. To a vessel like the Cyclops, already heavy with cargo and running low in the water, such a burst could have been fatal. Yet again, no one reported a storm that day. Scene 5. The human factor. The simplest explanation, some say, is human error. Overconfidence, fatigue, or poor decision-making, multiplied by the pressure of war and bad equipment. But can human error alone account for 3 massive ships vanishing without a trace? No debris, no oil slicks, no bodies. That's the paradox of the triangle. Every rational explanation ends where the evidence should begin, and doesn't. Scene 6. The energy theory. Among the more unconventional theories is one that refuses to die, that the Bermuda Triangle is home to an energy vortex. Proponents argue that deep beneath the ocean floor lies a massive electromagnetic anomaly, possibly the remnant of an ancient civilization, or a natural power source connected to Earth's magnetic core. They point to compass deviations, strange lights, and the disappearance of ships as evidence of energy fluctuations, bending light, distorting signals, even time itself. Skeptics dismiss it as pseudoscience. But then, How else do you explain vessels vanishing instantly, with no time to send distress calls? Scene 7, the test flights. In 1945, a U.S. Navy training squadron known as Flight 19 vanished in the same region while on a routine mission. Their radio transmissions were frantic, confused. "We can't find the ocean. Everything looks strange. Nothing is where it should be." And then silence. The Navy sent a rescue plane and it vanished too. Once again, the triangle took everything and gave nothing back. Scene 8, Scientists versus the Sea. Decades of investigation have produced more questions than answers. Oceanographers mapped the seafloor, finding deep trenches, unstable gas vents, and undersea volcanoes. Physicists studied magnetic waves and anomalies in Earth's geomagnetic field. Meteorologists documented weather patterns and rogue waves. But the truth remains evasive. For every explanation, there's another disappearance that defies it. Scene 9, Voices of the Believers. To believers, the Bermuda Triangle is not a natural phenomenon at all, but a place where reality bends. Some call it a portal, an entry point to another dimension. Others claim it's a zone of ancient technology left behind by Atlantis. Even respected researchers like Dr. J. Manson Valentine have speculated that structures beneath the ocean floor, resembling ancient ruins, could be linked to the anomalies. Whether myth or memory, the triangle seems to guard its secrets well. Scene 10, the triangle today. In modern times, ships still pass safely through the triangle every day. GPS navigation and radar have made travel safer, but not infallible. In 2017, a private plane carrying 4 people vanished between Puerto Rico and Florida. No wreckage was ever found. Even in the 21st century, the Bermuda Triangle still claims its victims, quietly, efficiently, and without explanation. Perhaps the mystery isn't about where these ships went, but about why we still can't let them go. The Bermuda Triangle has become more than a location. It's a mirror, reflecting humanity's endless struggle against the unknown. When logic fails, the imagination begins to whisper. The ocean is not silent, it remembers. In the dark below, currents carry not only silt and stone, but echoes of those who were lost. And in the waters of the Bermuda Triangle, those echoes are louder than anywhere else. Scene 1, the first sightings. The first reported sighting of the Cyclops after her disappearance came in 1919, a full year after the ship was declared lost. A British freighter called Jessup was sailing through the Caribbean when the crew claimed to see a huge black ship, silent, drifting without lights. As Jessup approached, the vessel vanished into mist. No other ships were recorded in that sector. When the crew gave the coordinates, they matched exactly the last known position of USS Cyclops. Scene 2, Ghost Calls from the Deep. In 1922, a naval radio operator in Virginia picked up a weak, repetitive signal. Just a single word transmitted in Morse code: Cyclops, Cyclops. The transmission lasted 14 minutes before fading into static. Investigators later traced the signal to a point east of the Bahamas, again inside the triangle. The Navy dismissed it as interference, but some believe the ship was still trying to call home. Scene 3, the Phantom Convoy. During World War II, American pilots flying reconnaissance over the Caribbean reported seeing 3 large cargo vessels moving in formation. When they attempted radio contact, no response came, and the radar showed nothing. By the time they circled back, the ships were gone. The pilots were so disturbed that their report was classified for 20 years. Scene 4, Whispers from the Depths. Fishermen around Barbados still tell stories of strange sounds rising from the deep. At night, when the sea is calm, they say you can hear metal groaning, as if a ship were twisting beneath the waves. Some hear voices too, faint, muffled, calling for help in languages no one can place. Scientists once lowered hydrophones into those waters to record whale songs. What they captured instead were rhythmic thuds, mechanical and patterned, like the sound of distant engines still turning. Scene 5, the superstition of the sea. For centuries, sailors have believed that the sea has a soul, that when a ship is lost, its spirit continues to sail the currents forever. The Cyclops, they say, became one of these ghost ships, haunting the Atlantic like a floating gravestone. Superstitious crews avoided the triangle for years, saying that to hear the clang of chains on a calm night was to hear the Cyclops passing by. Scene 6, the psychic connection. In the 1950s, a woman named Dorothy Martin claimed to have received visions of the Cyclops. She said she saw a great metal ship trapped in light, frozen in time, its crew alive but unable to speak. While many dismissed her claims as fantasy, her descriptions matched the ship's interior blueprints, which were not public at the time. Scene 7. Scientific Ghosts. In 1977, the U.S. Oceanographic Survey sent a submersible to scan the seafloor north of Puerto Rico. The team recorded a massive metallic structure, rectangular, 542 feet long, the exact dimensions of the Cyclops. When they returned 2 months later to verify the find, the structure was gone. The recordings remained, but the coordinates now showed a flat, featureless plain. As one scientist wrote, either the sea moved or something moved within it. Scene 8. The Haunted Current. Oceanographers call it the tongue of the ocean, a deep trench between Andros Island and New Providence in the Bahamas. It's here that many ships, including Cyclops, were last tracked. Divers report feeling electrical vibrations in their suits, and some claim their equipment stops working below a certain depth. In 1995, a Canadian research team found metallic objects buried under sediment at 9,000 feet, too deep for ordinary wrecks from that era. When they attempted to bring samples up, their instruments malfunctioned. The objects remained where they were. Scene 9. The Last Message. In 2003, a U.S. Coast Guard crew patrolling near the Bahamas reported a distress signal on an old military frequency, one not used since World War I. The message was faint but clear. Engines failed, taking on water, coordinates, Cyclops. The signal cut off. When they raced to the location, the sea was empty. The timestamp on the transmission, March 9th, the same date Cyclops vanished in 1918. Scene 10. The Unseen Crew. If you ask those who work these waters today, fishermen, submarine crews, freighter captains, many will tell you they don't believe in ghosts, but they still salute when they cross the coordinates of Cyclops' last known position. Out of respect, out of fear, or perhaps because they know that somewhere beneath them, the Cyclops still waits. Science can explain the sea's currents, its storms, its magnetism, but it cannot explain the feeling sailors get when they sail through that place. The cold tingle at the back of the neck, the silence that feels alive. In our next chapter, we'll return to the surface, to the modern hunts for Cyclops, the expeditions that tried to bring her back from the deep, and the questions they were never meant to ask.